Hey guys, so I guess I got a big question here. And that is, you know, what was Tony Khan thinking? I mean, I appreciate, like any other wrestling fan out there, that he went out of his way, along with Kenny Omega, the Bucks, Hangman, and, at the time, Cody Rhodes. I respect, the fact that he went out of his way with them, spent his own money, if you will, to bring AEW to life. I appreciate that. And I know I'm not alone in that. But I also know that if you're going to run your own promotion or your own business, that you have to have a good understanding of, what works, what doesn't work, who works well together, and who doesn't work well together. And right now, Tony Khan, I think as CM Punk put it in his own unique way yesterday or last night, early this morning during the press conference, the media scrum, if you will, Tony Khan, is still learning. I mean, Tony kind of said it himself, but CM Punk kind of repeated it, kind of reiterated it to kind of clarify the fact that they're all still learning. And that's what I look at with Tony Khan here, and the situation involving, CM Punk and, the Bucks and Kenny and all of them. It's still a learning experience for Tony Khan, because, he should know out of anybody, being a part owner along with his father and his family of the Jacksonville Jaguars, of that soccer team they have and all that, and other enterprises that probably, share ownership or have full ownership of. He should know better than anyone that when you put a group together, you put a team together, that you have to make sure you have the right components, working well together like a well-oiled machine. Because if you try to mix oil and water together, it doesn't work. I mean, that's why people use that adjective of when you have certain people working together that obviously have an issue with each other, obviously, don't like each other, can't stand each other, when you have them working under the same roof or living in the same house, it's like, mixing oil and water. It doesn't work. And that's something that Tony Khan obviously is learning right now, that, he cannot have a company or a promotion or even two promotions, as far as, AEW and Ring of Honor are concerned. You can't have those working functionally if you're going to have all these massive egos that don't get along, that don't like being called out for certain things that they feel they're either justified or they're wrongly accused of. So I think when Tony Khan, along with the Bucks and Omega, Page, and Rhodes to an extent, created AEW, Tony, as any justified wrestling fan probably thought in their mind, he believed, quite honestly, and he had a right to believe this, that everything was going to be hunky-dory. Everybody was going to get along. Everybody was going to work well together. There wasn't going to be any issues. But unfortunately, over the past several years, that's proven to be false. That dream has proven to be fantasy, because, again, he should know better than anyone, with all these other ventures that he's a part of, that that's never going to be the case. That nobody is going to, get along, all hunky-dory and roses and wines and sunflowers, 24/7. There's always going to be an issue. There's always going to be some kind of conflict. I mean, you take a look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. He should know that a lot of the players don't get along with each other and everything, and they probably don't like being on the same team together, which is why they would probably ask to be traded, or, they'll be professionals and wait until the contract is up to want to say, hey, I want out. I want to go someplace else. So whatever the case may be, or when a trade deadline comes up, they might go to Tony or his father and say, hey, I want out. Let me go to someplace else. Stuff like that. All because they realize they're not going to work well with the current team that they're aligned with, or whether it's a a player, whether it's one of the players like a wide receiver or a quarterback or a defensive lineman, they know they're not going to get along with them. But for the benefit of the team, yeah, they'll try to get along, they'll try to be professional, but they know at the end of the day they just can't stand that person. And when you look at AEW right now, that's kind of the situation that Tony Khan is in. Tony Khan is basically having reality crash down upon him now, and he's realizing that wrestling is a lot, how do I put this? It's not that much different, than a professional sports team like, the Jacksonville Jaguars or, his soccer team for the MSL, the Premier League, or whatever the case may be. Reality is crashing down upon him that wrestling is, very similar. And that if you have a major roster, on your hands, that not everybody on that roster is going to get along. Egos are going to collide, if you will, and it's not going to be a pretty picture at the end of the day. Egos are going to collide. People are going to feel uncomfortable because they're not used to competing in the ring with certain people that they feel are too stiff, that don't have a grasp in their minds of how wrestling in their perception works, with them. I mean, you look at the Britt Baker Thunder Rosa deal, and along with some others, but mostly Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, Britt from her own perception, feels that Thunder Rosa doesn't get it. That Thunder Rosa doesn't realize that when you work with someone like me, you can't be stiff. You have to, work with me. You have to work with the style I'm accustomed to. But yet, Thunder Rosa, she's used to that style, and she has such respect from all her peers in the wrestling business, whether they truly like her or they don't, to the point that they have an understanding that the way Thunder Rosa wrestles and competes in that ring is her style. It's a style she has been used to since the beginning of her career. And also, they got to realize, Thunder Rosa also comes from the world of MMA. And we know the big difference between wrestling and MMA is in mixed martial arts, they are going to be stiff. They're going to be hard-hitting. And that every shot you take is legit. And that maybe from Thunder Rosa's perception, she realizes, like any other MMA fighter turned wrestler, that when people know, hey, these people are coming into our sport, that perhaps those people that know that's going to be happening, that they have to be ready. They have to toughen themselves up to be in the ring with someone like a Thunder Rosa. Like on the WWE side of things, why do you think Liv Morgan trained with Matt Riddle? With a storyline or legit or whatever. Because she knew she was going to be in the ring, even though she probably knew she was going over, she knew she was going to be in the ring with a legit striker in Shayna Baszler. Even when she faced Ronda Rousey at SummerSlam, for the shortness of what that match was, she knew she was going to get stiff-armed. She knew she was going to get stiffed. She knew she was going to get legitimately, bashed around. Despite the fact that they both knew, okay, this is how the match is going to end. She legitimately got, struck around by Ronda because of the fact that she was prepared. She and the other women that have been in the ring with Ronda, been in the ring with Shayna, and will be in the ring with those ladies, know that they have to kind of be ready to be, be ready for a fight that they are not totally accustomed to. So now they got to train even harder, and that's what Liv did. When it came to Shayna, that's what Liv kind of did when it came to Ronda. She is now realizing, not just storyline-wise, but legitimately, hey, if I'm going to be, called upon to carry this division, as their champion on SmackDown, I've got to basically learn to toughen up. I've got to learn to fight with the best of them, fight with these, MMA strikers. And when you look at someone like Britt Baker, whether you side with her or you don't, you realize that she doesn't have that concept of, oh, Thunder Rosa comes from the MMA world. So she is used to this striking style and this fighting style, and I have to myself get accustomed to it. She doesn't acknowledge that. Jamie Hayter has MMA background. Jamie Hayter knows that. So Jamie Hayter should be the one that lets her know, hey, you have to be ready to be in the ring with Thunder Rosa. Just like I do. And yeah, Jamie Hayter may have had her nose broken and everything, but I don't think that would cause any legitimate heat since Jamie has an MMA background. But apparently it did. Maybe Britt, saw like, hey, she was trying to legitimately hurt you. Maybe that's the reason. We don't know. But the point is that I'm getting at, using not just that as an example, but using what CM Punk has said last night during the media scrum about the Bucks, about Hangman, about, MJF to an extent, and all that. Again, it's basically it's an eye opener for Tony Khan, because reality is coming and crashing down upon him, because he's realizing that what he probably perceived as being, a great environment for everybody to be a part of was nothing but a fantasy. It was a dream fantasy of his that he's now realizing is not going to be a reality the way he wants it to be. And that now, this being a major learning experience for him, it's showing him that if he's going to get things situated, he's going to get things organized, he has to make sure that he either coils this right now, puts, Punk, the Bucks, Page, Omega, and all of them in their place, and basically shows them that, hey, I'm the boss, you guys get along or else you're out. Either he does that, or he's basically got to cut ties with either, his EVPs, like he had to cut ties with Cody when Cody left, or he's going to have to basically give up his dream of being the only one out there, the only wrestling promoter, businessman out there that was able to bring Punk back to wrestling, put Punk on this pedestal. He's probably either going to, like I say, cut ties with his EVPs, the men he helped found this company with, or he's going to have to cut ties with CM Punk and get him out and give up the fact as quickly as it became a reality that he was able to do what no one else could, and that's bring CM Punk back to wrestling and give him a platform, to be himself, to get back to what he loves doing. So Tony Khan, right now, he's in a situation to where, he's got to make a sacrifice. He's got to make a major sacrifice, one way or another, or he's got to finally just step up, grow a set, and let Punk, let the Bucks, let Omega, let Hangman, let them all know, let the entire roster know. He's the boss. What he says goes, and if you don't like it, you can leave. And that's what he has to do. That's what he has to do, in my opinion. So for Tony right now, what happened last night at the media scrum with Punk and the Elite, what's happened behind the scenes with Baker and Rosa, and other stuff that's happened past, present, and probably future, it's all basically waking him up. Hopefully it's, not hopefully, but basically it is indeed waking Tony up to the realization that, hey, what you dreamed was going to be a peaceful environment is now waking you up to reality and making you realize that just like any other sports league, any other sports team out there, not everybody's going to get along, roses and wines, sunshine, sunflowers, whatever you want to call it. Nobody's going to get along. Everybody's going to have issues with each other, and hopefully what this does is it wakes him up and teaches him the valuable lesson of, if you're going to have a wrestling promotion like this, that yeah, you can have a great roster, you can sign some great talent, but you also have to be careful about who you sign. And also by being careful, that also means you have to research basically as best you can on whether or not bringing a certain individual in to be part of your company is a good move or not, and if anybody's going to have an issue with it or not. So hopefully Tony Khan learns from this. He gets this big wake-up call that I've talked about before. He gets this wake-up call. He opens up he gets his eyes open. He realizes it's either time to step up, grow a set, show him who's boss, or basically get ready to start riding the wheel of AEW, the death certificate of AEW, because if you think David Zaslav and his crew, upon hearing what's going on with the company right now, are going to want to renew that contract next year, then you know what? If you think they're going to want to do that, you got another thing coming. And so does Tony Khan. So hopefully he gets things together. Hopefully he gets, things situated and all that, because if not, the future for AEW, despite some of the positiveness, and momentum they got going right now, the future in the next couple of years, not just for the rest of this year, but for the next couple of years, it doesn't look good. It's not going to look good, and they could possibly end up in a situation similar to WCW, similar to almost what Impact, similar to what Impact almost ended up in. They can find themselves in a situation worse than any of that. Heck, Tony Khan can find himself in a situation similar, and I did a video on this that's identical, not totally identical, but similar to certain points that Herb Abrams ended up being in to an extent. Like I said, there are differences between the two, because at least Tony Khan's paying his talent, and Tony's not doing any drugs, as far as we know. But yeah, hopefully he gets a grasp of this. He finally gets things settled down, and basically puts his foot down and lets people know, hey, I'm the boss. I'm the one that calls the shots, whether you like it or not. Because if he doesn't, and he lets people walk all over him like he's letting CM Punk do, in the eyes of a lot of people, because it seems like CM Punk basically felt more of like he was running the show. He was the boss of AEW and not Tony Khan in the eyes of a lot of folks during that media scrum. Hopefully Tony Khan steps up and says, look, I'm the guy running things. I'm the boss. This is my money that I'm putting into this company, and you're going to do what I say whether you like it or not, and you're going to keep your mouth shut on certain subjects whether you like it or not. So hopefully he gets a hold of things real soon, because if not, this doesn't, the behind the scenes drama and chaos going on right now, like I said, it doesn't paint, AEW in a good light for the foreseeable future, especially if they want that TV deal. But let me know what your thoughts are. Comment down below, live chat during the premiere, like the video, super chat, super stickers will be open during the live chat, also super thanks afterwards. But give me your thoughts on the whole situation. What do you think Tony Khan needs to do to coil this, to kind of basically put an end to this backstage chaos and drama? Do you think it's time for him to step up to the plate, grow a set, and show him who's boss? Or do you think basically he should just get in front of his computer like I am right now and start typing up the death certificate and will for AEW? Because if this keeps up, AEW's future, let's be honest, will not look good, and that TV deal they want from Warner Bros. Discovery will be nothing but a pipe dream. And I know they don't want that, but that's what it looks like it could be if Tony Khan doesn't get things straightened out. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Comment below, live chat during the premiere, super chat, super stickers are open. And until then, I will talk to y'all later.